I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. This interview is a long time coming. We were supposed to do it a month or so ago at Elko. My mom got sick. That didn't happen. But we're here now, right?
We are. Hope she's doing well.
She is indeed. So my first question for you is how did you get into racing?
Well, I started off in racing, actually doing work just as an intern at a local track near me, Stafford Springs in Connecticut. I was in the video replay booth, so I was basically working the controls of the replay system, sending it up to the booth when they would ask for, a replay of an incident. It would be my job to find the best angle, replay it for them, slow it down, show everything. Then I got into the announcing side, did the pit road interviews mostly and social
Okay.
media content for the track. And then once I was in college, I was studying engineering. I started helping out with local teams, just, over the summer, doing whatever they would need at the track. And then got into the iRacing side of it, made a business out of building the setups, working with teams. So we worked with Junior Motorsports, worked with 2311, different groups and drivers to do basically one on one work with them instead of them loading up and testing at the track. They would work with us and help we would help them develop data, which was especially useful right at the start of the next gen when that was brand new. So we were heavily involved with teams there. And after that, I got a call in 2024, I believe it was, from Brayton Laster,
Okay.
asking if I wanted to go late model racing with him. We went and did some testing. Attempted a race, had a camshaft failure. So basically, when we were pulling out on track, the camshaft blew itself apart. Um, and then we were going to test at Daytona in 2025 with ARCA just to run a couple laps and
Yeah.
wound up with Club when that deal fell through. Tested with them and then ran a couple races last year and got signed for the full year this year.
So for the people that don't know, because we have talked about it in the past, what is Maconi Setup Shop?
So Maconi Setup Shop is a setup providing service on the iRacing platform. Essentially, we started out doing a mix of private work for the teams. So NASCAR teams or motorsports teams would hire us to develop setups for them, test different things on the cars instead of them having to go to the track and spend money on fuel, track rental, insurance, tires, all of that. They could do it from home. And
Okay.
then they realized that it was cheaper and easier to actually export that work to us. So combining that work with what we did for customers who just wanted to go and race against their friends, we were able to turn that into a full-time business. So that continues to run now. We've got setups for about 30 different cars each week on the iRacing platform and use that to supplement basically the racing side of it. And that was what we did from the beginning. So we were using the money we would make from Maconi Setup Shop to go real world racing, and now we've picked up enough sponsorship along the way that we're just real world racing now, and also running Maconi Setup Shop on the side.
Okay. And you guys have a YouTube series, right? Jin Koyak versus Maconi, right?
Yeah, that's mostly a for fun series. I've been very lucky to know Andy J. We met actually just in passing when I was working at Stafford, probably about 8 to 10 years ago. And after that, we never really stayed in touch. It was just sort of quick interviews in passing.
Yeah.
And then earlier this year, we got together. We both ended up running ARCA together. So we would talk at the track, and we were both from New England, which we're one of very few drivers from there. So that was a
Okay.
good way for us to meet and get connected. But yeah, now we run pretty much every week before a real world race we'll run something on iRacing. So that's just mostly for fun.
Okay.
We'll get a couple other drivers that jump in and join us. So we've had Alex Club join us, Brayton Laster, Nate Muller, Craig Pellegrini, Matt Kemp, Thomas Annunziata. They'll all jump in and run with us.
Yeah.
So that's usually like a Wednesday night fun thing to sort of let everyone have some fun before a race.
How similar is iRacing from an actual car? Is it at all?
It helps a lot mostly with like braking zones and learning the general layout and feel of a track. So it's very useful for road courses. So
Hmm.
like Watkins Glen, we did a bunch of training and stuff. For short tracks and intermediates, it helps. The draft model is pretty good. The biggest difference, though, is primarily one, you're sitting at home with iRacing. You're on a
Yeah.
simulator in an air conditioned room staring at a screen, and then in a real car you're at 180 miles an hour with 39 other guys around you that are all racing as hard as they possibly can, and it's a 150-degree
Yeah.
race car. Your heart rate's at 200. You are just you're you're fighting for your life basically. Your brain doesn't know the difference between fighting a bear and driving a race car. So it is legitimate fight or flight when you are in the car and racing. So comparing that, I mean, there's really no comparison to the feeling and emotions of being inside the car. The biggest thing as well is when you're running around other people, like at an intermediate, let's say. So if
Okay.
we're running at Kansas, um, when you get side by side with someone, you have the side drafting where you'll pull one car back, which
Yeah.
even like back marker cars can do that. So like at Kansas, I'm fighting with Michael Maples for position, and
Uh-huh.
he and I are side drafting each other. But what iRacing doesn't do is when you are in the corner and you're side by side with someone, it will pull your car sideways. If they're on your door, it will pull your car really loose. So like at Michigan when there was the big wreck with I think Vargas, Jankowiak, and Cletus were all running together. I think it was Vargas got really loose and like pushed up the track. That's because when Cletus, I think it was Cletus, was there on his door, it just pulls the car loose and pulls you up the track, and that's what causes a lot more issues from inside the car, especially on iRacing. Because when you're side by side with someone, the car just gets really
Yeah.
tight. But in real life, it will pull the rear end of the car around out of nowhere, and it's very hard to save.
So how do you personally prepare for a race? Whether that's something you do physically or mentally, obviously you have iRacing. Is that like all of it, or how do you condition yourself?
Well, there's a lot of physical conditioning and training that drivers do. Some drivers will go into a sauna and just sit and get used to the heat. Like when we were
Okay.
racing at Chicagoland, it was with the heat index, probably for practice, it felt like about 100 to 110 degrees outside. And then in the car, it was about 150 to 160. I know
Hmm.
last year at Lime Rock, it felt like I think the probably felt like about 105 degrees, which was really not fun. So a lot of physical conditioning and training to get ready. Some drivers do a lot of heat training. I don't have a sauna or anything like that
Yeah.
nearby, but I do a lot of training with iRacing, just turning laps, getting ready. Lot a lot of the mental work is just focusing and blocking out any distractions. So we've got our team and my team of people that I work with. They know when to approach me and what to approach me with before a race. So
Hmm.
that was one thing we had to spend a lot of time figuring out, and for me to figure out because I really like engaging with the fans, talking to people, but we've sort of carved out about 20 minutes before I get into the car where they know the team can come and talk to me and get me ready. But if it's not very pertinent information that I need to handle right away, they try to keep that away from me. So there's someone on the team whose job it is if they see someone like we're not like blocking out fans, but if there's a fan that's like hanging out nearby, they'll be like, hey, give them a couple minutes. Let's get through practice first and then figure it all out. So the biggest thing then, because I'd get into the car very distracted and flustered
Yeah.
when I didn't need to be, and it helps a lot to have that space right before I get in the car for practice or qualifying or the race, and then having that usual, step by step process of getting in the car, getting ready. This person always does this, and this person always does this. But at the start, when I first started racing and running with club, there was always a lot of everyone wants to jump in, someone wants to do this, someone wants to do that, and we finally had to figure out like, okay, once Jeff's in the car, nobody touches anything inside. He knows where all the buttons go, all the switches and everything, because someone would come in, flip one switch, and
Yeah.
then I would need it the other way, and so we pretty much had a team meeting and said, okay, if something's going to break, Jeff's going to be the one to break it because now we've got too many cooks in the kitchen that are all touching things. So that was a big help in figuring out.
Is there someone in the garage that you look up to as like a mentor or someone that you can always ask a question to?
Absolutely. There's a lot. That's my favorite part of the ARCA series, hands down, is how nice everyone in the garage is. I've ended up, aside from Alex, of course, being my
Yeah,
my car owner and my teammate. I go to him for everything. He and I, after every time we're in the car, we're discussing it. We know there's some weekends where we go in where he and I are running the exact same setup where our cars should be identical. So if I'm a second off of him and our cars are identical, then we know I've got a problem. I need to figure it out behind the wheel. Versus if we're trying different things, like at Chicagoland, for example, we had no clue how rough the track was going to be because no one had run on it in 10 years. So,
yeah,
you know, Joe Gibbs Racing and the Toyotas, they've got all this data that they collected from when the O'Reilly and Cup Series ran there,
yeah.
which is the advantage of running with those teams. They get all of that data as well. So
Mhm.
they knew how bumpy it was. They knew all of the measurements and data that we just had no clue of. So we went in, Alex and I, with two completely different setups. I went out first in practice, and I got out of the car, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay. I don't really love the car. We got better as the run went on, but like, I would go into the corner in practice, and this car would just, it was so loose on entry, and then we'd get to the bumps, and it would plow tight, and then it would snap loose again. We were just all over the place. So on my car, we missed the spring and shock package a decent amount, and Alex was running a completely different setup,
Okay.
way different. And when he went out there, he was like a second and a half off of me. He was way slower. He was miserable in that car. So we knew that it was a setup issue on both cars. So we completely changed over everything, completely redid the suspension in his car, basically rebuilt the whole front end, and it helped a bit for him. But being able to do that was really, really nice. So,
Yeah.
aside from Alex, people that I look up to in the garage, I talk to Brad Smith all the time. I've
Okay.
been very, very lucky to get to know him. He is the he's got more starts than any other active driver. He's been
Yeah.
doing this for years. His equipment is pretty similar to ours, so he's just such a great guy. Literally shirt off your back for what he'll go and do for us and for anyone else. So at Phoenix, we had an issue that ended up being related to the fuel in the car,
Okay.
and we were throwing everything at this thing because it went out, it ran for a lap, and then it just shut off and died. And we could not figure it out. The car just would not refire. And so Brad saw that we were having issues. He jumped out of his car, came over, went under the hood of my car while I'm in there working, trying to figure out electrical stuff on the inside. So he's under the hood on my car. He has to get in his, go out for qualifying, runs his 2 laps, parks his car, and then gets back under the hood of mine to keep helping us out. We're competing teams. We're battling him for points. We're battling him for driver and owner's points.
Yeah.
So for him to do that was incredible. That always stuck out to me, and we help him as much as we possibly can. He's just such a great guy. I lean on him a lot. Andy Jankowiak, he and I talk a bunch. But a lot of the other guys in the garage, they understand that the equipment that I'm in and me being a rookie driver is just not even comparable to the stuff they're running. Our
Yeah.
team's budget is about it's less than 10% of what some of the bigger teams are spending per car. So they're spending millions of dollars, and we're not even coming close to 1 million. It's just incredible the difference. So I go to them and I say, listen, I know that you're gonna be lapping me. I'm gonna be in the way. Just like tell me what you need me to do, and I'll say, here's where I'm gonna be on the track, and it's mutually beneficial for us to work together, and I've been very lucky. So um, I'd say the guy I talk to the most of that is Annunziata, and I talk
Okay.
to Robusto a lot as well. Just going into it and saying, hey, this is like at Elko, hey, or Berlin, I guess is the best example. I'm talking to them, I'm like, yeah, I don't really know the line here. We're figuring it all out. And they said, just get as low as you possibly can. And they told me up front, get ready to get bullied out of the way. We're going to be really aggressive. We have to run as low as possible. So the lap cars lay over low in ARCA. We stay as low as we
Yeah.
possibly can. And there's some weeks like Kansas, I can get away with it. I can run half a lane to a lane off the bottom and it'll be fine. But at Berlin, they flat out said, if you're not wrapping the inside wall, you're going to catch a fender. You're going to get doored. You have to stay low and out of the way. So there's a lot of communication between the garage. I obviously lean on Alex the most, but I talk to a lot of the other guys in similar equipment and even in the top equipment, and we all work together to survive to the end of the night.
Uh, what has your favorite track been so far in your career?
That's tough. I really like intermediates. I have found that intermediates are so much fun. Michigan is such a fun track
Okay.
to race at. Um, I'd say we've had the most success at Kansas. I've been able to get in the car and run really well there just right off the rip.
Yeah.
I like Michigan a lot. We had an oil leak there this year that was basically dumping oil on the rear tires, so I was just loose all day long, and we couldn't really get a good run together. And then I like Lime Rock. I had a ton of fun there last year.
Okay.
We were only going to run 5 laps. It was going to be just a 5 lap starting park.
Yep.
And after 5 laps, they just never called me in. And, I would check the radio and be like, hey, you guys can hear me, right? And they're like, yeah, keep going, keep racing. Um, so I spent all of my energy on those 5 laps running as hard as I could. And then they're like, all right, we're going to keep you out there. You're going to keep running. So we ended up running, I think, like 30 or 35 laps of the race.
Okay.
And it was a ton of fun. I wish we had gotten to run there this year. We had basically the motor locked up right at the start of practice, and so we didn't get a
Hmm.
chance to run. Um, but I'd say my favorite overall track is Michigan. I just have the most fun there. It is a
Okay.
great time running it. But Lime Rock is also easily the most challenging and rewarding track to run well. And I really wish we'd gotten a chance to go there this year.
Uh, are you trying to go full time this year? Is that the plan?
I would love to. It's in the works. It. How do I put this? Um, the opportunity is there. Everyone wants to make it happen on both sides, and we can make it happen. Right now we're just sort of figuring out like, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do it right? And is it worth doing? Because, I have a business, I'm starting a
Yeah.
family, I'm all over the place and traveling 20 weekends of the year and racing all over the country because we run as far west as Phoenix and as far east as Lime Rock, Connecticut. So we literally cover everywhere in the US to do it. So there are many moving pieces with it. I would love to do it, but I'm also a realist in that getting to go and race for one season is an incredible blessing and opportunity in and of itself. So if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, or I reach a point where I just say, after talking with my family and saying, hey, we've done what we wanted to do. I think we're good and stop spinning the roulette wheel and walk out while we're still ahead. I don't know, but it's it's in the works. It could happen, and we'll see where it all ends up and how we want to play it.
Okay. What is your favorite paint scheme that you have ran? And obviously you have one right behind you, but
Yeah,
do you choose those or is that something that Alex chooses?
it depends. If we've got a team sponsor and they want the car wrapped a certain way, then we'll do it. I've got thankfully a lot of say with the sponsors that I work with. They give me a lot of creative freedom, even when I'm not self-sponsoring the car, which I do sometimes, and
Yeah.
and it's incredibly beneficial to be driving the car and have your name on it. We've grown the business significantly with that, so I'm very fortunate to be in a position where we're not self-sponsoring because we have to. We're self-sponsoring because it's worth it to do so. But I really like this paint scheme that's up behind me. This was a really fun one to run. We ran this one at Kansas and Talladega,
Okay.
and then kind of it was sort of like a Frankenstein car after our crash at Nashville. Um, I really liked it. I thought it looked really really good. It got a lot of attention. I love the way the my short track car and road course car looks, that black and gold one, but it
Hmm.
is seemingly cursed. We tried to run it at Phoenix and had issues with the fuel that we know the source of. That's all I'll say with that. And then Nashville, the motor blew, which was just bad luck. And then we get the motor rebuilt and we go to Lime Rock and have similar issues. And we are getting to the source of those as well, which is
Yeah.
all I'll say on that. Um, but that car, I mean, I love the way that car looks, but I also have I've been very lucky to love all the cars I've raced, and it was so cool running the club racing sort of team scheme last year for most of my races, the blue and pink car.
Yep.
And I love the Mach 86 that we have, the Speed Racer one. I think that looks so cool, and I'm excited to have that back on board. And it's even brought in a couple sponsors who saw it and liked it and just said, "Hey, we want keep the car the same. We want to be on it the way it
Okay.
is." So and that car is actually this car but rewrapped. So this was originally just going to be my intermediate and super speedway car, and it's sort of become an everything car now. But
Yeah.
it's the same car, so this scheme is no longer printed. We would have to rewrap the car with it, but we just covered the whole thing in white and made it the speed racer car.
Uh, what type of track would you say you're best at? You talked about your favorite tracks being the intermediate ones, but what would you say you're actually best at?
I think it's tough because as a driver, I think I'm best at the intermediates. I feel like I perform the best there, but those are very heavily dependent on the car. And like I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, with the budget that club racing has, we are not spending a tenth of what the big teams are spending. So we just can't compete with them at those big tracks. But we're going and throwing fists and haymakers with Fast Track, who's running on a bigger budget than us, and Maples, who's running on a bigger budget than us. I can go to an intermediate and run with them. And just looking at the data, I usually outrun Alex at the intermediates, which is very cool to be in the team's second car and to be able to put up a fight like that
Yeah.
at the intermediates. I think the team's best cars come at short tracks, and I'm not performing at the level that I want to in the short tracks. I should be running as good as Alex, and he'll sometimes lap me by a lap or two, and that's just me needing to be a better driver. So for me personally, as a driver, definitely the intermediates are my favorite, and I think I perform the best there. For the team and car, we're definitely better at the short tracks than I'm performing, and I should be doing better. And that's a big part of my training is
Yeah.
trying to find that speed and be better at short tracks, which is, in my opinion, the toughest style of track we go to. And then road courses, I just have fun there. I just love running them. They're a great time. I struggled a lot at Watkins Glen because that's a very, very difficult track on the equipment. And we were running at a time where we had just put the car back together after Nashville. And so pretty much it was don't go and wreck the car. We don't know if everything is perfect because anytime you take apart the whole front end and reassemble it, there's a lot of moving pieces with
Yeah.
it. So we could only run it at 80% just to make sure we kept the car in one piece. And then it wasn't even a car mechanical thing that broke. It was the transmission just went. So it wasn't anything that we had worked on with the car. The transmission was just not built to handle the loads that it was because you spend most of the race in third gear there. So that's what ended our day with it. But I like I said, I think the car is better than I am at short tracks, and that's what's holding us back the most. So I just need to get a lot better at running it at short tracks like IRP in a couple weeks.
Uh, this is kind of a fun one. Do you collect diecast cars?
I don't collect them, but I have a couple. One of my favorite gifts is actually from my fiance, and she got for my it was either my I think it was my birthday last year. It was my birthday last year. Got a custom die cast made of my first car that I raced. So at
Okay.
Nashville last year. So that's going to be a tough one to beat. I don't think anything will ever be more meaningful than that. But I have a couple Jeff Gordon die casts and a couple in here, not in this room. Unfortunately, they're over in the other room. But a lot of usually schemes that I have some sort of tie to. So I've seen a race with them, or I was at the race where they won, um, things like that, or drivers that I have some sort of connection to is are the ones I like to collect. So I only have a couple, but they all have a lot of meaning behind them.
Okay. When you were little, did you ever think that you would be where you are today?
I think I thought I would be, and then probably turned like 10 or 11 was like, okay, I'm probably not ever actually going to be a race car driver. And when I was in college and just starting my career, I had fully accepted like I'm probably never going to drive a race car. I never thought I'd get behind the wheel of a late model, let alone racing full on in NASCAR in the ARCA series or anything like that. So for a while I believed it when I was very, very young, and then I matured and got to a point where I was like, yeah, it's probably never gonna happen. And then it sort of just all came together quickly, and it's still hard to believe and hasn't really sunk in that like we're actually here, we're really doing this. And I even still I go to the track and I'll be like in my fire suit at a fan autograph session, and I'm like, wait, oh yeah, I'm actually like doing this. I'm actually here. People are here to see me and the car, and it's crazy, but it's a ton of fun.
When you get these hero card requests sent to your house or your PO box, is that ever surreal? Like you get so much.
Yes. Yeah, I usually try and go there once a week and send those back. But I mean, I'll go to the post office and I got a stack of 5 to 10 hero card requests, and these are coming from all over the country, and it's um my favorites are the ones where they include a note in it, and they're like, I've been watching you for the past however many months, or like we're so excited to see you in the car this season. Um, some people will send little gifts along with them for me to keep, like not
Okay.
just sign and return, but gifts for me to keep, which are always very nice. And I actually put them all on my fridge. All these letters that I get, I save all of them, and there's some really nice ones. I've gotten some very, very nice letters that mean a lot to me. And just this last week, I got another stack of them, and it was pictures that someone had taken from the stands of my car, and then some other cars as well. And they asked me to sign those pictures and send them back. So there was one I got where I think it was like the 37 car. I forget who it was, but they had already received it and signed it and sent it back. So I'm like
Okay.
autographing on top of, not like on top of their
Yeah.
signature, but they've already signed it, and then now I'm signing it and sending it back to the person. So those are very cool, and those always mean a lot to me. I love doing those and sending those out.
You talked about starting a family earlier. Do you have kids?
I do not. Probably will have, if I have any, it'll be in the next couple years. And I know there's a lot of drivers that can race after they have kids. I just can't imagine myself doing that because I'm
Yeah.
not a career driver. I haven't been doing this my whole life. I'm 27 years old, going to be 28 this year. And I know I'm getting into this very late, and I know I'm not going to be doing it for the rest of my life. If I get one full season, that is one full season more than I ever thought I did. I mean, I got out of the car at Nashville last year, my first race, and I was fully content with this is all I'll ever do. It was the coolest thing I'd ever done in my life, and I could retire right then and there and be happy. And I always say, like, if it all ends tomorrow and I retire tomorrow and I never drive a race car again, I have nothing to be upset about. I'm going to be through the roof, super happy, um, and that's a big part of what I'm
Yeah.
wrestling with for next year on if I go full time or not or race at all next year. Is that something I want to do and keep spinning that roulette wheel because this is dangerous and it is time consuming and it's difficult on it's very difficult for my fiance to watch me do something that is so reckless and expensive and pointless in the end. And I say pointless in the sense that it's all for selfish pride and glory and the opportunity to do it, but doesn't really add anything
Yeah.
to to my life except for saying that I did it, if that makes sense. So I understand that, and I ask a lot of my parents, of my siblings, of my fiance to be able to go and do this and for them to be okay with it. And I know they are terrified every time I go out on track. So if I do ever have kids, I will most certainly be out of the car, nowhere near it. If they want to race, then that would be quite something. I'd be very supportive of it, but they'll have to do it the right way. Unlike how I
Yeah.
did it, start young, work on their own stuff, and sort of build their way up from there. But if they if I do ever have them one day and they want to race, I am all for it. I think that'd be a great time.
Are you going to be in the new NASCAR 26 video game? I know Brian Clubb drove the 86 in the last one. Do you think that you'll be in the 86 for this one?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say about that. And I think that's an answer in and of itself. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, so I can neither confirm nor deny anything regarding that game
Okay.
because I don't fully know what we're allowed to say at this point of its development.
Do you watch any sports that aren't NASCAR? If so, which one?
I love going to baseball games.
Okay.
I don't really watch it on TV. If I had to root for a team, it would be the Red Sox because I grew up in Wilbraham, Massachusetts, which is like 45 minutes an hour from Boston.
Yep.
I like baseball. I really love going to they're called the Nashville Sounds here in Nashville, about 45 minutes. Going to see those games is a ton of fun.
Okay.
Bridget, my fiance, used to work for the Toledo the Walleyes and the Mud Hens. They're owned by the same group, so that's a the Walleyes are a hockey team, Mud Hens are a baseball team. So I love watching hockey. I'll watch that. I actually grew up two houses away from Bill Guerin's mother, and he was like a hockey Hall of Famer. I think he's the general manager of the Minnesota Wild or
Okay.
their AHL team. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't talked to them in a long time, but they're great people. So I've got that connection to hockey. Um, I watch football. I keep up to date on it. Um, but no, it's mostly racing and stuff. I love watching the races, and I'll keep tabs on other sports. But if you ask me what's going on in the World Cup, I have absolutely no idea. I think the U.S. was eliminated, but I'm not entirely sure.
Uh, so from watching prior interviews that you have done, I know you have a Jeff Gordon portrait in your room or in your
hmm
background somewhere. What would you say that your greatest paint scheme in NASCAR history would be? Would it be the DuPont 24, or do you have another one in mind?
Oh, the greatest paint scheme in NASCAR history. I love the Rainbow Warrior schemes. I think those are all really, really cool. I particularly love Jeff Gordon's final scheme that he ran. I remember correctly, it was 2015 at Homestead, and it was an Exalta scheme. I think it was silver chrome.
Okay.
I got to see that race in person because after he won at Martinsville, I was in high school at the time. My dad bought tickets to the race and we flew down and watched it because he would be racing for a championship just on the chance that he won it.
Yeah.
So that's my personal favorite scheme, getting to be there and watch his final what was supposed to be his final race and they ended up subbing for Dale Jr. the next year. But getting to watch that paint scheme in person, I really love the Rainbow Warrior schemes. Yeah, I'd have to go with that Exalta scheme though as my personal favorite.
Okay. Uh, what would you say that your dream sponsorship would be if you could get any brand? What would it be?
If I could land a sponsorship with any, what can I say? Because we're working on one deal. Hmm. I really like Cookout, but that's sort of Max Reeves' thing.
Yeah.
And considering his family's involvement in the company, I don't think they'd jump on board. But Cookout's a pretty good brand. Gosh, who else? What do I really? use a lot of that I can like plug and promote that isn't already in NASCAR. I'm like looking around my office thinking about it. I don't know. I would say getting to do more with my current sponsors would be a ton of fun. Like all the work we get to do with like Capriggio's Pizza and Chastity Tucker. I've been very lucky to have her on board.
Hmm.
Real Property Management Boston is a brand new group that just came on. I love working with them. 4K Motorsports, Rocket Fizz Clarksville, all of the groups that have jumped on board. If I could do one race, and maybe I don't know, maybe we'll end up doing this at the end of the year. Just make one big scheme with all of those major sponsors and not charge them for it and just go out and do it as a thank you to them. Probably I'd say that would be the dream. Just having one car with all of them as different primaries to make it happen.
Okay. What are some things that you like to do for fun when you're not racing? Like iRacing, but is there anything else? Not nothing.
It
It can't have to do with racing.
gosh, it takes up probably 95% of my days now. Well, when I'm not working, um yeah, my fiance and I just we go to the mall, we go people watching and just um spend some time there. I really honestly the time driving to and from the races is very enjoyable to me. So I like
Okay.
I appreciate the opportunity to travel all over the country. I've driven um, pretty much to every race except Phoenix and Lime Rock, including Daytona twice in 4 weeks. So getting to go all over the country is my favorite part, but I guess that is tangentially related to racing.
Yeah. Uh, so I know a lot of people would say, me personally, you are my favorite, the nicest driver that I've ever met. Who
I
would
appreciate it.
who would you say that the nicest ARCA driver is? You kind of talked earlier about it, but if you had to narrow it
Oh
down to one.
man, we're all jerks. We're all jerks when we're racing. um, yeah, we'll be it's funny the duality of it because when we're like in the garage, everyone's very buddy. We all hang out, we all have a great time, and we'll help each other on the cars. We'll jump in, work on. I've gone and helped on Brad's car. He's gone and helped on mine, and we'll.
Hmm.
When we were at Kansas, there was a whole monsoon out of nowhere, and we're sitting there trying to find our car cover, get the car covered up, and the 18 team just came over with the second car covered, dropped it on our car, and said, "Bring it back later." Like it's just amazing what other teams will do completely unprompted, and we're to them we're nobody. I mean, we are spending pennies on the dollar compared to them, and they just saw that we were getting the car covered with tarps, and they brought over a whole car cover. That definitely stood out a lot. I think it's going to be an answer a lot of people won't agree with. Max Reeves is a really nice kid. If you talk to
Okay.
him one on one, he is a really nice person. I love talking to him. He is um, not only very knowledgeable about racing, he teaches me a lot of things, but also just a really nice kid to talk to. And Unziata is a very nice guy. Like I said, when we're out on track, everyone's a jerk. Everyone's out there for themselves. Um, we we we've had a lot of brush-ins with Willie Mullins and his team, but they are such amazing people. I
Yeah.
really love racing with them. So there's I don't know if there's one single nicest person. If I had to choose, I'd probably say Brad. He's a really amazing guy. Um, but I also don't think there's anyone in the garage that you don't enjoy
Hmm.
talking to and you don't like hanging around with. And I never realize really how much the NASCAR drivers all talk to each other. And I can't say you're good.
Okay, where were we? I think
N- Nicest guy in the garage. I think all in all, it'd have to be Brad Smith if I can only choose one. But on track, actually on track, I get away with the most running around Brad. He cuts me a lot of breaks, and um, I'd say the biggest difference in personality is Annunziata because, well, either Annunziata or Reeves, but Reeves always runs me really clean. I really like racing around him, and I know a lot of people in the garage probably won't agree with that. Um, but like super, Annunziata and I get along great. I love the guy. He and I have some great conversations. But then on track, he runs me so hard and will just like chop my nose and dive bomb me. And I will sit there and cuss the guy out on the radio. And I'm like, I don't know what his problem is. We were at gosh, it was either Elko or Berlin. And there was one time I was battling with I think Brad or someone else, and
Hmm.
he just comes in and dive bombs me from like 4 car lengths back, and I am screaming on the radio, middle of three wide, and just cussing him out. And then at Chicagoland, um, he made a very bold move. I think the other lap car was expecting him to go high, and he just shot the middle and went around both of us. And I was but again, super nice guy, and he's got to move and get going. He's obviously a lot
Yeah.
faster than us, so I don't blame him. But like, it's so funny, like having these very casual conversations, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna go and do this, and like we're gonna hang out and all that. Um, like in a group, we've got a group chat of ARCA drivers, and
Okay.
we're planning all different stuff, and he's in there. And I think about that, and I'm like, yeah, all the drivers are gonna go hang out. We've got plans for before Indy, and then like how he races me on the track, and I'm like, this guy's I get run like garbage from him, but it's not like garbage. He's a lot quicker and has to get going, and I completely understand it. But it just always seems like whenever I'm put in a rough spot by one of the leaders, like half the time it's an Annunziata, and I'm like, this guy, you got to cut me a break.
I have a little funny story about Elko. So
Mhm.
you remember how Matthew started at the back?
Yes, yeah, he started right behind me, and the last thing I did before I got in the car is I went over and I talked to him, and I said, first, I know you're going to be going to the front, so good luck. You're going to go win this. I called it from the start that he was going to go back to front, and I said, two, when you get to me, I will be staying very low and out of your way. Please go high. And he just went right around me at the time. I think he cleared me by like turn two, and he was 2 rows behind me.
So he's my age and he's like doing incredible. He's gonna be in Cup by 5 years.
Hmm.
Uh, and when he had the problems, you know how they do the meet and greets and such. I wanted to
Hmm.
meet him because he's incredible. He's an incredible driver, but I couldn't find him. I didn't realize that he had uh what's the word? Failed. His motor like blew up or whatever. And my
Yeah, they
dad
swapped the whole motor.
my dad made the joke they did that on purpose, so he didn't have the whole line of kids going to meet him. I just thought that was funny, something to share.
Yeah. It's funny though, the because obviously every driver has their own personality. Like we've got a couple different modes that we have to operate in. So like social media, we have to say and do certain things and act one way. And because we're monitored by sponsors, we're monitored by our teams, we're monitored by either our managers or the series itself. And like people are always watching what we say on social media, so we
Yeah.
have to pre-script everything and make sure that's all good. Then you have like the drivers in interviews, when they're doing meet and greets, when they're interacting with media or fans, in that personality. And then you have the like actual driver themselves. And a lot of times there's like Cletus, what you get with an interview is what he is personally. Like he is
Okay.
one in one the same, everything that I've seen with him and the times I've always interacted with him. Very, very nice guy. But the difference between Reeves, who is barely, if at all, on social media, and how he is in interviews, which is very like cocky, aggressive. He's gonna go out there, he's gonna win it. And then like him personally, which nobody sees. Personally, he is so nice. He's very quiet. He's very well mannered. He is such a respectful, super nice guy. And then like in interviews, he's so fired up. He's there to win, and he will kick everyone's butt in the process. And then nothing on social media because of how he is in interviews. So it, it it's so funny with him because a lot of people and fans are like, "Oh, Reeves, he's such a jerk. He's just like a spoiled kid. He's so arrogant." And like if you actually meet him and
Hmm.
talk to him and like get to know him. Super nice guy. His dad is the nicest guy on earth. I mean, he's like, after Nashville last year, the first time I met him, he won the race.
Hmm.
Um, just super nice guy. And his I went over and congratulated him in victory lane, and his dad is like, "Oh, you're another driver. Come over and like take a picture." And I didn't know who he was, and he pulls out this giant iPad and he's taking pictures on that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, who is this guy? Like, what media guy is working with an iPad? And I walk away after, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's his dad. That's the cookout guy." And I'm like, I didn't even get to talk to him. Like, I love cookout. I love the shakes, and so it's just so funny though because the difference in how he is in interviews, which is very, very like aggressive on top of the world. He's gonna go and kick ass and take names, and
Yeah.
how he is personally. He's so quiet. He's so well mannered. Just very chill, relaxed, super nice kid. It's so funny to see, and all like everything people say about him and how like, oh, he's so arrogant. He's this, he's that. It's like, no, he is as nice as they come.
So my last question for you is, what advice would you give to someone trying to get into racing?
I think the biggest thing with getting into racing is one, take every opportunity that you can. You are never too good for an opportunity. A lot of people get into the sport just by showing up to the track and saying, "Hey, how can I help out with the team? What do you need me to do? Is there anything I can do?" That's and when you first get into it, you will be just doing grunt work, and it's not going to be fun, and it's long hours, and it's miserable. But that's just part of it.
Yeah.
Um, whether one quote that I really like is, whether you think you can or think you can't, you are correct. I think about that a lot, and it's applied to me. I never thought I would be doing this, and then when the opportunities all came together, it was very. I'm very fortunate that it all worked out the way it did, but it was a lot of hard work behind the scenes, and not being afraid to jump in and take the opportunities as they came. And I said to myself, I if I go out there and I test a car or I race and I completely suck, then I can say I did it and I'm all good. And when I first raced, I kind of sucked. I think we all did, but everyone sucks when they first get behind the wheel of a race car. But it's what you do from there. And so my next opportunities in the car was just doing starting parts, just to get
Hmm.
experience, just to run a different track type. So I did a 1 lap starting park at Michigan. I did what was going to be 5 laps at Lime Rock and turned into running half the race. And we finished 17th that day. And then that led to, hey, you want to come run Madison? You want to run? And then I was going to run Madison and run Toledo.
Okay.
And because I was signed up for those races, they said, hey, come run Kansas. We need you to run Kansas. You're going to be ready to go for next year in case something comes together. So if I hadn't gone and done those starting parks, I wouldn't have even been in consideration for the 86 for 2026. And
Yeah.
if I hadn't gone and run those other races, then I certainly wouldn't have been in contention for the seat, because every seat has multiple people that could come in and run that car and run that season for the team. And so I'm very lucky to have been selected and had the opportunity and had the funding together and everything to go run this 86. But there's still, even for a team like Club, which is spending a tenth of what the big teams are spending, there's a lot of competition for the seat. So
Yeah.
very lucky to have gotten it. And now I feel like I'm performing at a level where it would make sense to keep me in the car for next year. And I
Oh
don't
yeah.
say that to brag, but it's just, with where I've been running is about where the car should be, and I'm keeping it clean for the most part. We've only had one really major wreck, a couple cracked fenders and bent pieces here and there, but nothing like blowing, just blowing up the car and doing stupid things. And then the third piece of advice is something my dad always said and came from his dad, is that fear is a phantom. So the worst thing that can happen and what you fear the most probably won't happen. Like
Yeah.
99% of the time, it's not going to be a worst case scenario. So if you go out there, you take the risk, maybe it'll work out great. maybe it'll go horrible. Every time you go into a race weekend, maybe you'll go out and blow up lap one, or the motor will lock up, or you'll get in a wreck right at the start. Maybe you will. Probably won't. You'll probably be okay. We've had our share of bad races and bad luck with mechanical issues. That's gonna happen sometimes. But
Yeah.
for the races that go well, we go out and finish 20th at Talladega just by surviving, just by staying out of the pack and surviving. Um, we've gotten, I think, like 6 top 20s this year in a team, probably maybe more than that. But running well, we're 17th in owners points, we're 12th in drivers points, and we're going to jump a couple spots there as well. It's just from consistency, showing up and putting our nose to the grindstone and doing what we have to do. And even though we're going out and we're running towards the back of the pack and fighting like hell in order to do it, it's still better than not being out there. It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun, and it's if you're scared, and it's okay to be scared. I mean, I'm terrified every time I get in the car, and people are terrified for me and on my behalf. That's part of it. But it's what you do when you are that scared that I think makes you who you are. So I'd say the biggest thing for anyone that wants to get in the sport, you're never too good for an opportunity. Always be ready to pitch in and help. Um, don't be afraid of failure, and when things fall apart, you have to just keep pushing forward and keep doing it, and just don't ever give up. You never know how it's going to go. There's a lot of opportunities that come in this sport. And also, don't step on people's toes. Everyone in this sport knows everyone else, and if you make a bad impression, it will certainly stick around. There's a lot of people that even now you don't want to work with, and we steer clear of, purely because of bad impressions they've left on other people who we trust and work with a lot. So that, because you grenaded one relationship, means 3 layers down the line where you'd be working with us, we aren't interested in it.
Well, thank you for doing this, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to seeing you at the track again soon.